Lamingtons are a staple, a good old Aussie tradition. I think the old Lamington drive's been around long before Kytons was around, back in days of Lord Lamington. And it's an easy cake, it's chocolate, everyone loves chocolate. I think it's loved by young and old. Your grandparents like a Lamington and the young kids like the Lamingtons as well.
Lord Lamington was the Governor of Queensland.
And he lived in Government House in Brisbane. One day, Lord Lamington had some unexpected guests
For afternoon tea.
and all his cook had to feed all his guests.
With some plain cake.
The clever cook decided to dip the plain cake
In some melted chocolate to make the cake taste better.
and then rolled it in coconut to avoid the guests getting messy fingers.
Ta-da! The Lamington was born.
And it was a great success.
Kytons has been around since 1938. It started with three brothers that owned a catering company called Avon Catering.
Then they opened up a cafe called Kay's Cafe and wanted the bakery to supply the cafe and to have the same letter at the beginning. So they went for Kytons, which was a completely made up name. Kytons had a stall in the Central Market from the mid-1940s to the mid-1980s. They used to sell all sorts of bakery stuff, but were particularly well known for big slabs of cake. In the mid-1980s, the school that the owners of Kytons' son was at asked them if they could make some sponge to make some Lamingtons for a Lamington drive. And it was such a success that they developed what was known as the Lamington Kit and spread the fundraising out across Adelaide and across most Adelaide schools.
That was so successful that they basically stopped what they were doing in the market and made more of the fundraising side of it. And that became a big part of the business for quite some time.
Rather than getting the Lamingtons already made, you got a big sheet of sponge, a ruler, a giant knife and a big bucket of dry chocolate dip. So you mixed up the hot water with the chocolate dip, cut your own Lamingtons and then dip them yourself. And there's lots and lots of stories of the Lamington drive and these big long trestles of
Mums and dads getting together and actually cutting and dipping the cake all by hand.
making Lamingtons and the humongous mess that they got into. So obviously they ended up with a product that was still edible, but they also had a great experience.
I'm Faye and I'm from the fundraising committee for Colonel Light Gardens Primary School, and we use Kytons Bakery to raise some funds for our bike shed. It's important for us to have a bike shed that is safe and secure for our kids to put their bikes and to fit them all. So we have about 700 kids here and we sold 642 packets of hot cross buns, and we think that's testament to our community and the importance of supporting local. We found Kytons to be really easy to use for our fundraiser, and I think because their products are amazing, but I think the fundraising process that Kytons has for schools is just so easy to follow, and it was really rewarding for us.
Kytons has only been sold twice in its history, each time to a friend of the son. So while it hasn't stayed within the same family, it's stayed a family business and the ties with the previous owners have stayed really strong. We bought the business back in 2003 from the Darwins, and Darren had been to school with their son. He'd also worked at Kytons in the busy Easter periods when he was a teenager. So he came home one day and said, they're selling Kytons, I think we should buy it. And I laughed at him.
When we took over the business, we knew we had to do something with the fundraising. We knew we had to change that direction slightly to take it forward. So we diversified. Kytons has come a long way from the traditional Lamington. We also do our Christmas pudding and our hot cross buns, probably the three products that people know us for. But we do a lot of cookies, we do Rocky Road, we do a really great apricot macadamia slice. That's probably my favourite. We have a range of pies and pasties that we do for fundraising as well, in the family size.
We have a Christmas pudding that has won awards. We have mince pies that have won awards.
We use traditional recipes, very much quality ingredients, and the care our bakers are all about looking after the ingredients to make a really good product and making something that you'd like to make at home but don't have the time to do it.
When we make the Lamingtons taste like what a Lamington should. New friends come into my life and they say, oh, where do you work? I say, I work at Kytons Bakery. And then they're like, oh yeah, I know Kytons Lamingtons. My mum used to get them when I was at primary school.
Being a family business, that gives us the opportunity to care for the product from purchasing the raw ingredients making sure that we get the top quality, buy local where we can, through to the production of the product, making sure that we're looking after our staff to actually produce the really good products that we sell.
We use quality ingredients and traditional recipes to make products that are like homemade when you don't have the time. Products that become part of the special moments in your life.